straight out of the machine shop and into the G-Shock lineup, a new series of watches that are knurled. And I am quite excited for these, let's just say, because I love this look. It's like bold and aggressive. Some might say industrial. And you're daggum right, I'm interested in buying one. We're going to see when they come out in the United States. I'll pick up one, maybe two. We'll see. We have a limited amount of funds in the war chest. But check these out, guys. So we're looking at CasioBlog.com, a Russian language website. I believe it's Russian. You have to correct me if it's not. But thanks to Google Translate, I am reading this article in English. And once again, this is from CasioBlog.com and published on October 20. They say GM 5600M-1, GM 2100M-1A, and industrial bezel. Okay, so that's the title of the article, and it's by Yamakot. And he writes, in November, Casio plans to introduce two new G-Shock watches with steel bezels, the GM 5600M-1 and the GM 2100M-1A. Rumor has it there will actually be 4 new models, but only 2 have been announced so far. And we're happy to share the details. The watches feature an interesting bezel texture, a great opportunity to discuss the new finish in detail. Casio designers call the design style modern industrial, and there's certainly something industrial about it. It's all about the bezel texture made up of small pyramids, and this is the first time a full-fledged relief surface, laser engraving doesn't count, has been used on the GM 5600 and GM 2100. The Japanese are using this analogy to reference large-scale manufacturing and the use of modern metalworking equipment, machines, tools, and other industrial devices. On the other hand, the pyramid pattern is found in wardrobe items, accessories, and even jewelry. So these new pieces can be a great addition to the owner's style. Besides the obvious design appeal, this texture has another advantage. It won't show scratches as easily as standard steel bezel. This is especially true for inexpensive models that lack scratch protection, such as IP or especially DLC. Note the cutouts at the bottom of the case, another hint of modern manufacturing. The openings are perfectly smooth with slightly beveled edges. Plus, the entire case is laser treated to create a matte finish, another plus for increased scratch and fingerprint resistance. Both models feature an inverted digital dial. The most prominent element on the display is the bright red stripe with functional labels. It looks attractive in contrast to the black. The other 2 models will feature a gunmetal-inspired finish, a dark gray with a slightly distressed effect. There are no photos available online yet, but we'll keep you updated. All right, so let me jump in here. Once again, that was written by Yamakot. So it's called knurling, okay? They're calling it a diamond. What do they say? Diamond? Diamond? I forget what they call it. But anyways, it's called knurling, all right? And it does create a diamond pattern. I'll show you a little bit of some knurling documentation I found. All right, so at the end of this podcast, you will know about this watch series. You will also know about the process of knurling. You will know how to knurl. You'll be knurling stuff, okay? Because, all around the house, you'll just be like knurling your wife's kitchen equipment, all right? And knurling objects that you own. If you have the equipment to knurl, you can add knurling onto your tools, all right? To be a true man, you have to, create your own tools. All tools you buy at the store are a basis of tools that you create by modifying them through welding or knurling. Anyways, what is knurling? Well, Wikipedia defines knurling as a manufacturing process typically conducted on a lathe whereby a pattern of straight, angled, or crossed lines is rolled into the material. Knurling can also refer to a material that has a knurled pattern. Oh, thank you, Wikipedia. Well, all right, so Wikipedia defines different types of knurling as annular rings, linear knurl, diamond knurl, and straight knurling. So the knurling on these 4 new watches from G-Shock is diamond knurling, okay? But the diamond pattern is at parallel angles to the direction of the watch, so it has like a square pattern. But you look close, they're pyramids, all right? So these sites are correct calling it pyramidal, but technically it's a diamond knurl, all right? And I just think these watches look fantastic. They've already released all four of them. You'll see. I have some other like I said, this article I just read is from October 20th, and I was really excited about it when I saw it on the CasioBlog.com. I did not publish any information about it because I was waiting to hear like the what the series would be called. I wanted some more information. I also wanted to see what the other two were like so we could see all four of them at once. And that time is now, okay? All four have released, and they're all really cool. It's going to be very difficult for you gentlemen to decide which one to buy. I have a feeling some of you may end up buying more than one from this series because it's just awesome. It's totally rad, okay? And I know I'm using terms from my childhood, but it's like seeing stuff that's just awesome like this just gets me so pumped up. It's like, you know, it's like back in the 80s, stuff was awesome, you know, and stuff's not as awesome nowadays. And, you know, like think of some awesome stuff from our childhood, like, you know, an A10 Warthog, right? Or you know, like Storm Shadow and G.I. Joe, you know, like toys were awesome. And, you know, I think that this new series is awesome. Those of you listening on the podcast, obviously you can't see pictures, but what we're talking about is a G steel watch. So it has a metal bezel and it has a resin band. These watches have metal bezels with resin bands, and the front of the watch is knurled. Okay, so the front flat face of the bezel of these watches, they're 5600s and they're 2100s. They have a knurled pattern, a diamond plated, like a not diamond plated, but a diamond knurl. So it makes like each little raised segment is a diamond shape. All right. Now a lot of tools are knurled. When you look at pictures of knurling that I'm going to show you, you will recognize knurling. It's in a lot of tools, a lot of flashlights. I think the most common tool that you might encounter that has a knurling would be like a torque wrench. You adjust the torque wrench with the part that rotates is knurled because knurling is used for grip, okay? And so one document that's really interesting regarding knurling is published by Reed Machinery Incorporated of Worcester, Massachusetts, all right? So shout out to all you guys living in Western Mass, well, Central Mass, they would say Central Mass, but originally being from, you know, Boston area, South Shore, Massachusetts, we call it Western Mass, it's Central Mass. But anyways, they published this article entitled "Knurls and Knurling," and you know, what they say, and this is really interesting, is that knurling has a wide variety of applications in the screw machine industry. Many of its products having knurled surfaces. Knurling is most commonly used for decorative purposes and for serrating surfaces where component parts are locked or keyed together in unit assemblies. The term knurling designates both the process and the knurled portion of the work. Knurling is obtained by displacement of material when the knurl is pressed against the surface of a rotating work blank. Knurling tools are used for producing straight, diagonal, or diamond knurling, having teeth of uniform pitch on cylindrical surfaces. All right, so knurling, you're always like, or you're going to see it most often on a cylindrical object, because that cylindrical object can be put on a lathe and then a knurling tool is applied, which just creates a bunch of lines, all right? Now, straight knurling, the pattern of the lines are perpendicular to the length of the cylinder, right? Because there's an axis to all knurling. So when the axis is perfectly perpendicular, that's a straight knurling. Now, if it's pitched one way or the other, then you have either right or left hand knurling, and the angle is called the helix angle, okay? And the helix angle is how far from the axis the knurling pattern is. I'm making this up as I go along. Now, when you go through an object with right-hand knurling and you go through again with left-handed knurling, what you're left with is diamond knurling, okay? And so if you want to read more about it, you know, look at this PDF document, really interesting. And it's hard to figure out exactly when this particular document was published because It's a PDF that I found online. Actually, it was a source on Wikipedia, but the published date was chopped off somewhere. So I would guess that this was published somewhere in the 80s based on what it looks like. But being Worcester, it could have been published, just a few years ago, because Worcester is like a time warp. Like, time does not change in Worcester. It's like stuck in the past. Like, not a specific point in the past, just in the past. There's all this really cool old stuff in Worcester, Massachusetts. Back in the day, I love photography, and when I would go through Worcester, I'd always take really cool photographs of old mills, old, factories and stuff that they have over there. But I found another document on knurling published by Dorian Toole. Okay, and this Dorian Toole is in Texas, and this document's definitely from within a few years. No published date on here, but it's just, this one's in color, lots of photographs of different types of knurling, different types of tools used to create knurling. All of these are on cylindrical objects. And, knurling can be, there's two ways to achieve a knurling, according to this document. You can use forming, and knurl forming is achieved by pushing the knurl wheels against the blank while rotating. This will cause the material to be displaced in cold form, reproducing the same wheel pattern on the blank circumference. All right, so it's just smushing the metal. Metal's malleable. And the second form is cutting. And according to the document, knurl cutting is achieved by using knurl wheels to actually cut instead of forming the blank. The knurl wheels are set at an angle, making the knurling edges of the knurl wheels cut into the blank. Pressure is minimized while speed and feed are increased. Isn't this amazing? Guys, all right. So obviously the G-shocks are not cylindrical, and they achieve knurling, I'm guessing, by, advanced machinery nowadays can move these bezels, these steel bezels, on a flat surface in a way that you can achieve knurling, all right? That's awesome. And so a G-Shock watch, like the GBM 2100, is a watch with a steel bezel. It's a 2100 series watch. It's an anti-digi watch. It has a steel bezel. It has a resin band, all right? But it has a polished steel bezel. And the flat front portion of the bezel is polished flat, okay? And so there's a number of different watches that are like that. It's the GBM 2100 series, a lot of different colors. For those of you listening on the podcast, you're not able to see this, but we're looking at the G-Shock website for the model called the GBM 2100-1A, and we're looking at the last one available. This big red letters, it says last one available. Okay, now this watch was one I was interested in. Actually, this one has Bluetooth and solar charging, high legibility on this particular watch, which is the GBM 2100. And I'm pulling it up for the purpose of showing that this is a type of watch that these new watches that we're looking at are based on. So the Casio blog on November 10th released another article about these other two watches in this 4-watch series. So this particular watch series that I'm talking about here was rumored. The first article we read was about publicizing the rumor. So it kind of spilled the beans on it. And so the Casio blog put their watermark all over the pictures. So I guess they were the ones who originally spilled the beans. But now there's like a more formal introduction of this watch series. And I do not know what this watch series is called. But again, they're all knurled, and they all have a steel bezel, black resin band. These look awesome. All right. I called them in a video, I call them sick puppies, just because they're fantastic looking, And so Yamakot writes, remember how we recently wrote about the GM 5600M-1 and the GM 2100M-1A in an industrial style? Well, the Japanese have officially unveiled black versions of these new watches, and these designs make them look even more striking. not to mention the voluminous texture of the bezel. Featuring small steel pyramids, Casio has dubbed the collection modern industrial. This is precisely the case where functional beauty and shock resistance coexist in a single case. Although the Casio team talks about the industrial style, we're more inclined to believe it's simply an attractive design solution and fresh take on the familiar square on octagonal form factors. The bezel texture is unique to G-Shock watch with its steel elements. It's not just laser engraving, but a genuine textured surface with precise geometry. While some might think of industrial applications, machine tools, etc., others might recall various accessories and jewelry with pyramid motifs. I'm going to jump in here and say that, a Glock pistol has knurling with raised pyramid pattern on its handles, at least in the Gen 4, I believe Gen 5 Glocks. Anyways, jumping back into the article. Regardless, the designers have accomplished their goal, demonstrating their skill in effectively crafting steel. In our case, the black design also signifies additional scratch protection in the form of matte IP coating. Overall, the new models are almost entirely dark, including the dial, where we see a negative LCD. The bright red badge on the display breaks up the otherwise black atmosphere and also demonstrates G-Shock's commitment to absolute durability. To resume my commentary on the series, this isn't just about knurling. It's not just that they're knurled, okay? There's other things going on, and it has to do with the fact that G-Shock, they make all these G-Steel metal watches. They always make them this polished color. It's like this like very bright, very blingy, polished steel. And I want matte. I want brushed metal, which looks awesome, like a Zinn watch. Have you guys ever seen a Zinn watch? SINN. It's a watch. The watch is from Germany, and those sick puppies have like tegimented steel. They use steel that's from a German U-boat, and it just looks amazing. And I wish a G-Shock would make that. Well, there's this website called news.mynavi.jp. It's a Japanese website, and once again, we're going to rely on Google to translate it for us. But they took pictures of this watch series. Those listening on the podcast obviously won't be able to see, but I will explain it well enough that a blind person could visualize it in his head, okay? Now let me read this article from this mynavi.jp. It says, the GM5600M and GM2100M series are metal-covered models that incorporate G-Shock's shock-resistant elements into a simple design. The base models are the iconic digital model GM5600 with a metal bezel and the analog-digital combination model GM2100. Based on the theme of modern industrial design, they pursue functional beauty and adopt a neutral color scheme. Both the GM5600M and GM2100M series are available with either a silver or black IP lower bezel for a total of 4 models. All right, so let me describe these pictures. Now, the first picture is of the 5600, which is the square, and it has a inverted LCD screen, meaning the background is black and the numbers are white. The numbers are what's like illuminated on the LCD screen. And you guys know I don't like negative LCD watches, generally speaking. However, Casio G-Shock does produce particular negative LCD watches that have very thick segments, which allow more light to shine through of the illuminated portion, and so that lends to more legibility. And the reason why they have all of these negative LCDs is because they look so dadgum cool, right? They just look awesome, and that's the case. of these watches. And so the first picture has the black IP coating. Now the knurling portion is still bright steel. There's no IP coating on the knurled part, okay? And another close-up of this, the square watch, the 5600, you can see the black IP coating doesn't make the portion of the bezel that goes around the watch, doesn't make it totally black. You can tell that the coating's black. It's like more like a very dark gray, okay? And so the third picture is of, oh man, the third picture is of the matte steel. Wow, okay, this is awesome, okay? It's not shiny, it's matte steel, all right? And yeah, there's some cutouts there. I saw somewhere else, and now I can't even remember where I heard this, that, you know, the cutouts allow you to see into the actual case of the watch, which is made of some special material. And then here's a close-up of the 5600 with the brushed steel. It's brushed steel. It's like sandblasted. It looks amazing. And the close-up, when you just see the 5600, the square G-Shock watch, I don't see the band in this picture, okay? And so right now I'm just imagining what a whole bracelet would look like if that bracelet had the brushed steel. That would look awesome, right? It would look totally rad. And again, I know I'm using 80s terminology from my childhood, but it would look very striking, let's just say. And the mynavi.jp also has a close-up of the band, and the band does have it's etched, there's a pattern etched into it on the outside. And so now they have some pictures here of the Casio, the GM 2100 BM, okay, which is the black. And again, that one looks really awesome. And some more close-up. So the black Casio, the hands are a little bit darker. They're kind of muted, and the indices, at least in this photo, are muted. But then when you look at the silver bezel, the brushed steel Casio of this series, the knurled Modern Industrial series, the hands are a little bit brighter, right? The subdial is steel. It's a brilliant color, and at least in this picture, the indices look polished. So despite it being black, there is like the dial, the face of the watch is black. Besides that, there's still a lot of high contrast because of the indices being bright polished metal, and we do have some contrasting colors on the hands of the Casio watches. And so all four of these watches, in my opinion, look awesome, like with the knurling and with the brushed steel, the brushed steel especially. So the question is, of these four, which one am I most interested in? I think you guys can tell that the GM 2100M-1 is the one that I'm most interested in. And I think that in second place, I kind of like the GM 2100BM. Okay, so the GM 5600M-1 is the brushed steel square. And I think I would like to get it just to try it out to see exactly how the negative LCD fares, because it is a thick segments. All right. Now, the problems that I have with my negative LCD watches from Casio, particularly the King, the problem is that on the King, the actual screen, the LCD screen of the watch, is like several layers into the watch, because you have like the first layer of just the screen and the outer bezel, but then there's a second layer of protective alpha gel, and so the actual module itself with the LCD screen is another layer below that. And so that negative LCD screen of my King, which is the GXW 56BB, is like in a valley of darkness, right? And I have to continually recite Psalm 23 to it so that anyways, that that the light doesn't really get down into it to bounce back. And on top of that, it's a negative LCD. It leads to a lot of challenges in legibility. Now, this particular watch of this series, all of the LCDs in this series of watches are negative, including the ones on the Casio. When we talk about the square, like I think that you could get, it's like I think there's some legibility there. And obviously it's not great, but when you balance legibility with style, here you're tipping it a little bit towards style, but because the segments are thick, I think I'm thinking and hoping that you can get some readability out of it. Also, one thing to mention, all of these watches have just one accent on them that's red. So on the 5600s, the squares, the start-stop label is red. And on the Casios, there's a little signage. It says WR20 bar, meaning water resistant 20 bars of atmosphere. And so that is red on the Casios, and that red pops because it's one single little zing of color on a watch that's either black or metal colored, black or gray. All right. And so G-Shock World also talked about this, and he, according to him, these watches are already available for pre-order. Okay, so G-Shock, Great G-Shock World, a blog, and I'm reading this for you, gentlemen, because I mean, you can go to the website, but I just want to warn you that it's riddled with ads, a lot of pop-up ads you can't like cancel out of. You have to like watch a 20-second video before you can go on. And so one of the services that I provide to you, gentlemen, is that I will go to Great G-Shock World for you. Okay, I will sit through the ads and review the information, digest it, and then regurgitate it for you. So I am regurgitating information from Great G-Shock World right into your lap, right into your laptop or your device. I'm regurgitating G-Shock information. Okay. And so Great G-Shock World, in an article entitled November New Release Review, Part 7, a new G-Shock with an industrial design that evokes functional beauty with checkering pattern on the bezel, reminiscent of the checkering used on tools. That is the title of the article. And again, thank you to Google Translate for translating this for us. And let me continue reading the article. He writes, the new G-Shock with an industrial design featuring a checkered bezel, the existence of which has already been announced, is now available. The bezel features the checkering found on tools. Checkering, a design often found on the bottom and sides of tools and cameras to enhance convenience without the need for visual inspection, is incorporated into the bezel. And the dial and other features accent reminiscent of the tools and their functional markings. The metal case is hollowed out, creating a tough yet functional design that evokes the beauty of tools, making this a metal case model that exudes G-Shock style. The base models are the metal-cased GM 5600U and GM 2100. Each model is available in two colors, silver and dark metal. Currently accepting pre-orders released on November 21st. The new metal case model is currently accepting pre-orders and will be released on November 21st. G-Shock continues to improve by incorporating new designs and motifs. The new model is full of the true essence of G-Shock. We are looking forward to its release. It has pictures, some of which we've already seen on CasioBlog.com. And Great G-Shock World also finds two pictures of the polished, flat G-Steel G-Shock watches that do not have knurling. Again, and they're all polished, and the front of the bezel is all flat. One problem in this discussion is that, like, the bezel of a G-Shock watch is like the whole bezel. It like wraps all the way around. That's technically the bezel. But when we talk about the bezel, what we also talk about is like the bezel of a computer, like the laptop, the screen has a bezel that goes all the way around it. So it's like the perimeter of the screen. And so, like, it's funny to say this, but like the watch has a bezel of a bezel. Like the actual raised portion of the screen of the watch is the bezel, but then also the bezel of a watch, with a G-Shock watch, ensconces the front of the case, right? So I invent this term right now. It's called bezel of the bezel. So the bezel of these G-Shock watches used to be a flat and polished steel with some brush marks, right? As you can see on the GMB 2100 and the GMB 5600. I believe that's the model numbers. But on these new ones, the bezel of the bezel has knurling. Okay? So I think that, if you're listening on the podcast, I think that explanation I just gave you is going to seal your visualization of this. Okay? Even if you are blind now, you like the first vision in your head is that pop of red color that I just described on the start-stop button of the GM 5600 MB-1, okay? And if you want me to explain red to you, if you are visually impaired, you've never seen red, I'll do that in the next podcast. But anyways, going to the G-Shock website for Japan, like there's nothing here about the knurled beauties, the knurly watches, right? You get these new MIP screens, the new G Steel, the new Charles Darwin watches, the hippopotamus watch, K-pop watch, and then claymation watch. Nothing on the main website, all right? And so then, but according to Great G-Shock World, they are released. So we go to G Steel watches, scroll down, and okay, go all the way down here to the lineup. And here we go. Now, I am on the Japanese website, and we're looking for any information on this new modern industrial series of watches. And I finally found it, okay? This is the Japanese website of G-Shock. And I just typed in gshock.jp. And when I went to this website, it said select your location. And I'm in the United States, okay? Don't tell anybody this. It's a little controversial, but I looked around. Nobody was watching. I clicked Japan, okay? A little bit dishonest, but for the purpose of this video, I think that it had to be done. All right, now we have more of a write-up on these watches. Of course, in Japanese. Let's see if we can get Google to translate this for us. Yes. All right. And so like all of this promotional material for these watches doesn't really have like one site that encapsulates this series. Doesn't have like all of the graphics and marketing material for this series of 4 watches. These watches are put into the G Steel lineup, each separately, and going to this one, which is the GM 5600 BM-1JF, that there's no like graphics that have all 4 watches at once or any kind of branding for this watch series, right? But reading this material published about this particular watch, translated by Google, says this model pursues functional beauty with a modern industrial design theme, incorporating G-Shock's shock-resistant elements into a simple design. Aiming for a coexistence of simplicity and functional beauty, it employs a neutral color scheme. The metal octagonal bezel, symbolizing G-Shock shock resistance, features a checkering pattern often seen in modern industrial design, while the red accent color marking the metal bezel and function indicators enhances its functionality. The glass fiber reinforced resin center case, which protects the module and achieves shock resistance, is visible through the bezel's cutout holes, visually expressing the watch's shock resistance. Furthermore, the black IP finish applied to all parts except the top of the bezel adds depth and refined impression to the bezel's form, combining a simple, timeless design with practical functionality. This is an item you can cherish for years to come. Oh boy. So they're calling what I call the bezel of the bezel, they're calling the top of the bezel, which, I don't know if they use the word top in Japanese, but top of a bezel, I think a lot of people would think that it's the part, at the 12 o'clock position of the whole bezel that ensconces the case. I prefer bezel of the bezel. I mean, that's what I'm going with from here on out. I coined terms on the Jim Kincaid YouTube channel, such as watch crotch. But this particular write-up does talk about glass fiber reinforced resin center case. And I'm sorry, but I cannot remember where I heard that the case is like of some special material. All right. Here it says glass fiber reinforced. And so these holes that are cut out into the bezel, not the bezel of the bezel, but like the bezel of, the side of the watch. These like peepholes. They're like little viewing holes, that you could see a glass fiber reinforced case. So it's a special case here on this watch. And so that is the black IP coated. And I just noticed that this has the price. The black IP coated costs more. Let me just go back. 33,000 yen for the black IP coated GM 5600 modern industrial watch. 29,700 yen for the one that I am most interested in, which is the brushed steel. And the copy here is identical, I believe. And so let's look at the Casiokes. Now, the black IP-coated Casioke costs 35,750 yen. And the brushed metal, matte metal Casioke of this series costs 32,450 yen. All right. Now, none of them have multi-band 6. None of them have solar charging. None of them have Bluetooth. So functionality-wise, these are basic. You're going to have to set them yourself the old-fashioned way by holding down adjust. So if I get one of these, I'll show you guys how to do it, how I set my watches manually. So that's really interesting. So they are on the Japanese website, and you are able to add it to a cart. Well, sorry, it says pre-order, so you can pre-order it. And I guess that's what Great G-Shock World said. Pre-order, currently in Japan, officially released on November 21st. Okay? And so we'll see if any of them pop up on YouTube. We'll take a closer look. But anyways, I did publish a video of excitement about these watches on the YouTube Shorts. And let me play it right now.
2 with brushed steel bezels, 2 with matte black coating, all with knurling on the front.
Oh, yeah.
The Anti-Digi 2100s have polished metal indices and hands that look legible. The digital 5600s have a negative LCD screen with thick segments. Each watch has a red accent that pops. If G-Shock is going for an industrial look, I think they nailed it. It's all about the knurling. So many tools are knurled, including the buttons of the Rangeman GW9400. I'll be picking one up when these sick puppies are available in the United States, so stay tuned for my review.
All right, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, trying to build up some hype for these because I think they look awesome. You know, they look terrific, and I call them sick puppies. And well, we can read some of the comments that you guys wrote about that YouTube short. Right off the bat, Addicted to G-Shock said, "This was designed for you, Jim." And Addicted to G-Shock is he has quite a collection. So click through on his channel. He has a Casio that I was interested in because he has one that like the front of the Casio kind of matches like the mirrored finish of Pit Vipers, and it's the GA 2100 TLS. And so I didn't make a video about it, but that one was sold out. And then at the end of the summer, G-Shock re-released that particular one, and I was so close to buying it. I only have so much money in the war chest to buy watches. I have to keep some of my powder dry because of the MIP screen watch coming out, and now this one, right? So the GA 2100 TLS make it bump down. Like I'm hoping to put some money together to buy that one because like that's one that I want, you know, like the MIP screen watches, like we'll talk about them coming up, but let's just say that when I buy them, it will be primarily for the purpose of this channel, like to talk about them. Like what watch do I want? Like I want one of these new 4 ones or the GA 2100 TLS, you know, like to have for my collection. You know what I mean? Top Cat says cool. Blood Knight says yes, let's go. Turd Ferguson says sick puppies, I'm calling PETA. All right, so in this video I use the term sick puppies. I'm not talking about like juvenile canines with that who are diseased or abused or anything. Like sick puppies is just like a term. Like I don't know where it came from or where I first heard it, but it's like, you know, if you see like an awesome car, you'd be like, oh, check out this sick puppy. And when I made that video calling these watches sick puppies, like I use AI on the back end to help me like summarize videos and stuff for the jimkincaid.com website. And I'm always upfront about where I use AI on the website. It's mostly for summaries, but it like had a problem with me using the term sick puppies because like I guess like on Urban Dictionary, like sick puppies is someone who's like totally deranged. And it's true, like I can think of like in sports, it would be like, oh, you got to be a sick puppy to you know, be a fullback and run headfirst through linebackers into the end zone, you know. And that maybe that's where the term sick puppy is used for something that's awesome, is because, you know, you got to be a little insane on the football field. But you know, Turd Ferguson, he's a menace in the comments. Maybe he knows what he's doing here. Sick puppies, like I could not find an example of sick puppy. Well, I found one of sick puppies being used the way that I was thinking, and it was someone who got one of those fat bikes, one of those bikes that have like the really big wheels and really thick frame, and he's like, hey, check out this sick puppy, which is exactly how I think of the term sick puppy being used, you know? AI didn't like me using the term sick puppy in that video. I don't know. I mean, like I could not find examples online of people using sick puppies like I was thinking. And so maybe I'm the sick puppy. So on the channel, I've also provided a lot of other like examples of knurling. Okay. For example, barbells at the gym have knurling on them, and the buttons of the Rangeman GW9400 have knurling. So the knurling on the bezel of the bezel of these modern industrial watches is not unprecedented in the G-Shock lineup. Okay, there's knurling on the buttons of the Rangeman GW9400, and some of you G-Shock old heads who've been around for a long time may even be able to think of some other examples from G-Shock past where knurling is implemented on a design feature of a G-Shock watch. As far as I know, the only one that I can think of is on the Rangeman buttons, and it has diamond knurling Okay. And I'm not going to pull it up now, but in my video about the Back to the Future Casio watch, I have a video of Biff Tannen from the future. I think it's actually Biff Tannen's son or grandson. And he's wearing a hat that has knurling on it, like big diamond knurling. And so if you find that video, you can see knurling. All right. So now that I've taught you about knurling, you're going to see it everywhere. And maybe you'll see it on your wrist if you buy one of these watches. All right. So this podcast was just absolutely chaotic. And chaotic is just a polite term I use to describe totally unstructured. Like it would be like prudent to have started off with like a whole to part explanation, I believe is what they call it. Like to kind of sum up what the content of the video is going to be about. Maybe actually define that this watch series is called Modern Industrial. But I didn't. I just started, like, I hit record and just started talking. And I may have spent way too much time talking about knurling. Okay. But really, I mean, in my heart, I do not feel like I talked about knurling enough, because like knurling is one of those things that, like, if I was at the library and like I was supposed to be studying like about something, you know, like Chaucer, you know, like the teacher's like, oh, you got to write a paper on Chaucer. Like, oh, okay, whatever. And then I walk past a book in the library that's about knurling. I would spend most of my time at the library learning about knurling. All right, so this is really cool. A buddy of mine gave my sons a 3D printer. All right, and they've been building stuff with a 3D printer. And so on the 3D printer, the bed moves, right? And the 3D printer lays down material. And so I think that with a knurling on the flat surfaces, that there's like a CNC machine type of deal where the materials lay down flat and the whole surface moves back and forth in a way that creates those right angle and left angle cuts that together make that diamond pattern knurling, right? That's what I believe. I do not know that for sure. If any of you are industrial engineers or material scientists, I'm sure that you guys will chime in. So, gentlemen, what do you think? Are you going to be picking up one of these sick puppies, the knurled bezel of bezel on the Modern Industrial G-Shock watch series? I think this is another example of my prediction, by the way, is that this is going to sell way more than they think, because they're not releasing it with a lot of fanfare. This is like a stealth release of this watch, and I think that it's going to sell a lot stronger than I expect. And you guys remember me telling you about the those like tactical colored watch series, and I was like, you guys have to buy this positive display King. They had a King in the lineup that had a positive LCD display, and it had a coyote gray band. I think it was. I think that the actual watch bezel was black and the band was coyote. I was like, guys, you got to buy it. And I didn't, because I already have a King. But a lot of you who are wise saw the need that if you want it, you got to get it. And you jumped on it, and it sold out, boom, like that. And so, will any of these sell out? Like, I think that they could, right? I mean, I would not be surprised if any one of these new Modern Industrial G-Shock watches sells out before any of these MIP watches, right? There's so much hype about the MIP watches, but this could be a stealth sellout, okay? And I really think that this brushed metal square is like the number one, in my opinion. But I could be off base. I could be biased based on my own proclivities, like that I really like the look of this watch. Like, oh, everybody will like it. It will sell out. Well, there's a lot of watches. Well, there's a few watches that I have that I really like that were not popular. Like the Fine Metallic series, I really like it. I was wearing it all last week. I think it's a really cool watch. It is an authentic do anything, go anywhere watch because of it being a fine metallic series watch. You can wear it to church. It looks like liquid metal on your wrist. Okay, but that one was not very popular. It did not sell out, and it's on sale. Now, since it's been on sale, there's been more interest in the watch, and I've been getting more views and more comments about it. So I'm going to make another video about the fine metallic series because I think it's really cool. I like it. And so I look at the modern industrial and I'm like, oh, this is really awesome. I don't know if everybody else shares that excitement. Okay, maybe this only appeals to, like 40-year-old guys who remember the 80s. It just has that like awesome kind of vibe to it, like I said, like kind of like, I don't know, like think about awesome military equipment, like the SR-71 Blackbird or an Apache helicopter, like stuff that looks, oh, it's awesome. I think that these watches look awesome, and I like the knurling. I really do. How practical is a knurling going to be? Like, am I going to get grime in it? Absolutely. I know that I will. Like, I have an everyday carry flashlight, the Nebo Inspector. It has knurling on it. It's just the grime in the knurling never comes out. So if I wear any one of these modern industrial watches that has a knurling on the bezel of the bezel, it's going to be perma-grime, right? I'm just telling you guys right now, perma-grime in the watch. These little cutouts are just going to be little nests for filth to accumulate. Like grease, grime, oil, hydraulic oil, breakfast burrito oil, everything. It's just going to pool up in there. Like if I was starving and I was in a survivalist situation, I could probably lick those little cutouts because it's full of like nutrient-dense material. I wouldn't really call it food, but a combination of food and grease and grime in a survivalist situation might be able to give you enough of that some of those like calories just to get through it. And so maybe that's what the cutouts are all about. Maybe it's not just an exhibition cutout for you to see the fiber glass reinforced case. It could be strategically to pool pockets of grime for you to eat in a survivalist situation. I don't know. Maybe I'm going way on a limb here. Maybe I'm going on a terrible limb of disgustingness that's going to repel most of the listeners of my podcast. But I have to be honest with you guys and tell you, call it like I see it, okay? And how long is the band going to be? Well, if it's anything like the bands that are on the GBM 2100, it has a long band. It has a band that will fit. It has a 215 millimeter band. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there's two main branches of G-Shock watches, the 205 and the 215. And this is talking about the maximum band circumference of a watch. The original square watches, a lot of the original G-Shocks were 205s. Now, if you convert that into like regular numbers, that's like I think it's a little bit under 8 inches. And so those watches like never really fit me. The 215s do, okay? So when I see G-Shock watches and I go to its page and then I go down to the exterior and look at compatible band size, it will say the smallest to the largest size, and the 215s are the ones that fit me. So the GBM 2100 watch is a Casio oak watch, but it has one of the longer bands of G-Shocks. So I'm going to assume that because the appearance of the bands is so similar, that this new series of watches are 215s, okay? So we'll check it out. I mean, if it's not a 215, I guess I won't be buying any. But I did want to talk about these watches because I think that it's great, and I really want to encourage G-Shock to make matte steel, like the brushed steel watch, everything, including the bracelet. Okay, and so when I put out content out here, G-Shock watches, and they make note. All right, have you noticed how more and more G-Shocks are legible? It's because of my videos and your comments. When you guys comment, G-Shock reads the comments, okay? And so if we're like, hey, we love this matte black look of this G-Steel watch, maybe they'll make a bracelet where the whole bracelet has that black coating. And if we really like this brushed steel of this watch, maybe they'll make one where the bracelet's brushed steel, okay? And if you're not really big on the knurling, on the bezel of the bezel, then I think it would be cool to have just like a brushed steel watch. All right, take away the knurling. Don't put on the knurling. Just keep it matte too. That would look awesome. That's my opinion. And if you make a comment to that effect, I believe that G-Shock will read it, and we will, Lord willing, we'll see that manifest in the future. All right? Gentlemen, remember Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through him. I'm Jim Kincaid. Thanks for watching or listening to the podcast.